What Aaron Rodgers' choice means for the Steelers and others. Aaron Rodgers' free agent decision was long awaited but entirely predictable, as the Hall of Fame-bound quarterback finally did Thursday, as practically everyone had expected, and chose to spend the upcoming season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if the Rodgers resolution came as no surprise, it still has meaningful implications in Pittsburgh and beyond. The Steelers will turn to a 41-year-old quarterback in their bid to get back into the mix of legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Atlanta Falcons are left with no obvious trading partner for veteran backup Kirk Cousins. And now there's no turning back for the Minnesota Vikings as they prepare to go with second-year signal caller J.J. McCarthy as their starter. The Steelers remained patient and got their quarterback. Rodgers' decision came as the voluntary portion of the team's off-season workout program ended. But he is expected to participate in the Steelers' 3-day minicamp in Pittsburgh beginning Tuesday. And he will be on the field for the opening of training camp late next month. Rodgers is likely to be, at best, the third-best quarterback in the ruggedly competitive AFC North, given the presence of the Baltimore Ravens' Lamar Jackson and the Cincinnati Bengals' Joe Burrow. Rodgers is coming off a disappointing 2-year stint with the New York Jets, in which he almost never resembled the 4-time league MVP he had been over his 18 seasons with the Green Bay Packers. He missed all but 4 offensive snaps of his first season with the Jets because of a torn Achilles tendon in his left leg, then returned last year to play in every game of the Jets' 14th straight season without a playoff appearance. The franchise's new football brain trust of general manager Darren Mogi and coach Aaron Glenn informed Rodgers in February that the Jets would move on, and the team officially released him in March. Even so, Rodgers was not terrible last season. He ranked in the NFL's top 10 in passing yards and touchdown passes. He threw for 3,897 yards and 28 touchdowns with 11 interceptions. The Steelers probably would take a repeat of that. They will put Rodgers in an offense that includes wide receiver DK Metcalf, tight end Pat Freiermuth, and tailback Jaylen Warren. They will give him a defense led by pass rusher TJ Watt, linebacker Patrick Queen, and safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. They will provide him with the structure created by coach Mike Tomlin and the winning tradition of a storied franchise. And they will attempt to notch a postseason victory for the first time since the 2016 season. Pittsburgh was 10-3 and in first place 13 games into last season, with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson taking turns as the starter at quarterback before losing 4 straight to close the regular season and falling in the opening round of the playoffs at Baltimore. Rodgers must win over skeptics. But maybe, just maybe, he can recapture some of his magic at the biggest moments. Trading for Cousins might have been the Steelers' plan B if they hadn't landed Rodgers. Now that the Steelers don't need a plan B, the Falcons might have no choice but to retain Cousins as the backup to their second-year starter, Michael Penix Jr. Most of the league's quarterback-needy teams made their moves long ago. The Seattle Seahawks signed Sam Darnold in free agency in March. The Jets signed Fields to replace Rodgers. The Las Vegas Raiders traded for Geno Smith. The Indianapolis Colts signed Daniel Jones to pair with Anthony Richardson. The New York Giants signed Wilson and Jameis Winston and drafted Jackson Dart. The Tennessee Titans used the top choice in the draft on Cam Ward. The Cleveland Browns signed Joe Flacco, traded for Kenny Pickett, and drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. The New Orleans Saints, following Derek Carr's retirement, probably have the NFL's most uncertain starting quarterback situation. But they used a second-round draft pick on Louisville's Tyler Shaw, adding him to a roster that includes Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. The Falcons might be wary of trading a potential starting quarterback to an NFC South rival. The pairing between Cousins and the Falcons has been curious all along. Even after signing Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract in free agency, the Falcons used the 8th selection in last year's draft on Penix. Coach Raheem Morris benched Cousins late last season in favor of Penix, who is slated to remain the starter. But while others believed it was inevitable the Falcons would trade or release Cousins this offseason, the Falcons left open the possibility of retaining him as the backup.